just gonna put this phone over here for now. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, Blue Hawks is no time to go Batman.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, what's up, guys? This is GT Weekly, aka Gaming Therapy Weekly, where we give you your gaming therapy every week, once a week.
Yes, whatever you just said. And today, guys, we're bringing at you post E3 analysis. I know it's been about 4 or 5 days since E3, but we're kicking off this channel. We're trying to do this right for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy this.
Yeah, just before we actually start, you guys notice I say we're going to bring you guys one video a week. But for this week, we're going to split it up into 3 parts because there's 3 major companies, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. So we're just going to do those separately rather than in one video because it would be longer than what we think is good
for an episode, yes.
Good for an episode, 20 to 22 minutes. So yeah, we're just going to split them up. This first one will be focused on PlayStation's E3 press conference.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be said about PlayStation this E3, and what we saw was some new IPs, some old IPs, and some wicked gameplay trailers.
Yeah, so we'll just start this off, guys, with a bang, aka probably the most surprising thing at PlayStation's E3 press conference, and that's gonna be Horizon Zero Dawn by Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, so Guerrilla made this game. If you guys don't know, those guys are the same people who made Killzone, the whole entire series from when it was on PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 4. And I guess they're taking their talents from some first-person shooters to third-person open world.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to add. You know how Guerrilla Games is usually a first-person shooter type of thing, but what they did was they brought in some employees from CD Projekt Red, aka the guys who worked on Witcher 3, which is a crazy open-world game. So they brought people like that who have experience in open-world games to Guerrilla Games for this specific reason. So,
yes.
So it's not like they're not just going into it completely cold, and so I think that really does bode well for how well the game will be in 2016, hopefully.
So what we see with this game is sort of a Tomb Raider / Uncharted meets Skyrim, something like that.
It's like a mixture of everything like you would like about gaming. So yeah,
and it's pretty cool how they kept up some really good graphics, and I think they said they're gonna make a massive open world, right?
Yeah, exactly. And apparently the rumor is there's no load times. Now about the story actually came a little later after E3, so that's why we're bringing this to you. Basically, what Guerrilla Games has said is that this is like a post-apocalyptic game.
Yes.
There are certain tribes around like the area. As we learned, the protagonist, her tribe is like the first tribe ever or something like that. But basically, humans go extinct from their own technology. So they build these massive robots and stuff, and then that's what causes them to go extinct. So it's not like your typical zombie or post-apocalyptic thing.
Dying Light or Walking Dead, anything like that.
Like that stuff's been done to death.
Yeah, they made their own twist on this one, and the post-apocalyptic stuff is technology, pretty much.
Yeah, so basically humans have buried themselves through technology. So that's basically what Horizon Zero Dawn's about. That's pretty much all they said about the story. They don't want to give away too much. There is an end goal. The graphics are nice, all that stuff. So it was definitely a really good surprise at E3.
And what was more surprising is robot dinosaurs.
Yeah, so
we don't really see dinosaurs or even robots that much unless you're just looking at some Star Wars type stuff.
Yeah, it's like a really weird combination of nature versus technology.
Yeah, I would have loved to see them pitch this idea to Sony because it sounds really cool, but obviously there's always chance for some mishaps with robot dinosaurs or with something completely new that's never been done before.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, but I'm glad Sony did do it.
It's an original game, and it's coming to you by Guerrilla Games, and those guys have a great reputation, so
yeah.
Let's see what they bring us.
So let's move on to the second surprise of E3 in our opinion, and that's got to be The Last Guardian, aka the game that was announced in 2009 and we never heard anything about it since then until now.
Yeah, so this game was originally being developed for PlayStation 3 until they realized that, well, this technology sucks compared to what we need it for, and they decided that we're not going to make this for PlayStation 3. But they didn't really make a statement about that at all. They literally just went dark. They didn't say anything.
And I think, basically, guys, this is like, again, a post-E3 thing. Shuhei Yoshida got interviewed, was asked about like what happened to The Last Guardian and stuff. And basically what happened was the PS3 had massive frame drops in the game. So like basically the PS3 wasn't able to handle the game. So what happened was the developers, I think it's Team Ico, they basically said as long as well as PlayStation.
Yes.
They both sort of just mutually agreed, like, let's just wait for the PlayStation 4 because it was basically being developed by the time they realized that it's not going to work out on the PS3. So basically, they just waited for the PS4 to get developed, and then they're like, all right, let's just release it on the PS4. So basically, the reason it was delayed for such a long time was basically because the PS3 could not handle it in terms of frame rate, and so they had to wait for the PS4.
Yeah, and forgive me for this, but this is an unpopular opinion of mine. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Probably not. I don't know how I feel about this game. From what we've seen so far, it seems like it's just a boy and a eagle dog or something, and it doesn't really look that like engaging in terms of action. I'm into action personally. How do you feel with this game?
Okay, well, yeah. Here's something you didn't hear yet. The developers, again, I think is Team Eagle. They didn't give too much on the story, but what they did say is that the boy was taken by some people, and he was basically held captive in this big sort of castle, wherever
That's
he
what
is.
we saw there, right?
And then he meets this big whatever, like giant bird dog thingy, and he basically becomes friends with it, and that's how the journey begins. So there's not too much information, but it does have a nice premise to the story.
Yeah, so this game's gonna be a hit or miss in my opinion.
Yeah.
Either it's gonna be super good, or it's just gonna be like, why were we even waiting for this game? It's not that great.
One thing we can all agree on, though, is that it is coming out at least finally, and whenever it does come out, you get to choose if you like it or not. We'll just take it from there.
Yeah.
So let's move on from that. We'll just do some little things that we saw at E3, aka PlayStation View. It's being expanded to 2 more territories. One's Los Angeles. I'm not sure what the other one, but it will be expanding throughout the United States in July. So there's that, as well as a new a la carte program where you can just pick and choose certain channels. Now, Sony did not specifically say how many channels will be a la carte, but they are working on that. If they can somehow manage to do this, I think it will really disrupt the industry because a lot of people really want this kind of stuff. So
yeah. So in case you don't know what that word means, because I don't know what he's saying about that word,
a la carte.
I have no idea what that means. All I know is that you can pick and choose your own channels that you want, right?
Yep.
Which is really good. You don't have to pay like $70 for like 75 channels you don't want.
Exactly. So yeah, we don't know what channels are gonna support this, but at least Sony is making an effort to really try to push this, because I know a lot of cord cutters cut the cord for this reason. So
yes,
there was that. Another thing,
we need to talk about Project Morpheus. Me being a super huge virtual reality fan, I don't know about this guy.
Virtual reality to me is really promising, but I just don't think it's for this generation.
I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to see it next year. But to talk about that, they finally decided to show some actual games that's going to be released on PlayStation at E3. So we saw some gameplay of about 4 or 5 different games. Some of them look like mini games, some of them look like AAA games, but they all look pretty good. Yeah, one game in particular that got a lot of good reviews, like hands-on reviews sort of thing, is Riggs, and it's basically a 3-on-3 shooter. And apparently Sony is dubbing it as an esport type of game, which means it's going to be super competitive. So they aren't trying to make this for like casual shooters or whatever. This is going to be like really big based on like teamwork and knowing where you are and being able to like strategically find your enemies and stuff. So they're working on that. And one thing I heard that separates this from Oculus, HTC Vive, or any Samsung virtual reality is that they're going to be allowing this to be more of a co-op experience. So of course there's going to be one guy in the room that's going to have this big headset on his face and it's going to like look super dumb, touching random stuff. But they're still going to allow people around the room to still interact with them by using DualShock 4s, look at the TV screen, and they're going to somehow make games where you can interact like that. So it's all a co-op experience where no one's left out, and hopefully we see a lot of those games. Yeah, so picture just like how Nintendo Wii U was trying to integrate the gamepad. One person looks at their gamepad, maybe tries to just like run away, and then the other 3 players on the TV try to find that player. So it's kind of like that. But the gamepad was a huge bust by Nintendo. Hopefully these guys can do it right with this whole cooperative, different screen type of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much Project Morpheus. I'm surprised though that they didn't really talk about it. They sort of just skimmed it over. With the PlayStation View and everything else. No official release date, no price point, not even like a range or anything like that. Yeah, they sort of first half 2016. Yeah, they skimmed it over. Basically, what we just told you happened after E3. So yeah, during E3 they barely talked about it. Yeah, one thing about the Project Morpheus is that it's gonna be super high resolution. I heard the screen is OLED 1080p. Yeah, and it's gonna be 120 3D frames per second. Yeah, and
it'll be 60-60. There'll be 2 different screens. So.
Yeah, and you get 100-degree field of view. They're just gonna keep on working on this thing and try to make it the best thing. You know, Shuhei Yoshida, he wants everything to be perfect when it's released.
You can follow him at Yoast.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool. But
shout out to him. He's my favorite.
Yeah. So that was Project Morpheus in a nutshell. I think we gave you more information than Sony did at their conference. So there's that. So what's next on the list?
So to close this all off, and you can't talk about PlayStation without talking about this. It's gonna be sad to say goodbye to this guy. It's Uncharted, Nathan Drake's last journey. It's gonna be an amazing game. I can already dub that game as Game of the Year for 2016.
Yeah. So
well, it'll have competition with Horizon, but I honestly think Naughty Dog will pull it off.
Yeah. So Naughty Dog again showed off some gameplay footage. And once again, there were some glitches.
Yeah.
Basically, in the beginning of the game, when Sully runs off into the crowd, Nathan Drake is just left there standing like this. He wasn't moving at all.
But it wasn't actually an in-game glitch. They said that the guy who was supposed to be moving him did not pair their controller. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's exactly how he was standing. And
the guy didn't pair his controller, so he couldn't move.
Yeah,
so, exactly.
He was just doing that. So basically, they had to reboot the game, use a different console, and then everything went smoothly. I'm really impressed by how this game looks.
It just looks amazing. You can drive cars now. They showed that in the thing, which you can drive cars in the other ones, like for certain scenes and stuff.
But this one seems like they're taking it to the next level. Like you're literally able to go wherever you want. It's not like a predefined area.
Yeah, it feels more open world.
Yeah, so that was how Sony closed their press conference with Uncharted, as they usually do with their biggest exclusive games. So yeah, that's gonna be coming out in 2016. Horizon Zero Dawn 2016. Last Guardian,
was that 2016? No, I don't even think they said anything about the release. Did
No, Horizon Zero Dawn.
No. Last Guardian.
The Last Guardian, we don't know when that's going to be released. But yeah, those were the 3 big games. There were a bunch of smaller games. But we'll get more into that with Xbox One, because they've done a fantastic job with their indie titles, in my opinion.
They might have won this E3.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know after this 3-part series.
Yeah,
so again, guys, this was Gaming Therapy, aka GT Weekly. You want to say anything?
And just stay tuned for Nintendo's post E3 analysis from us and Xboxes.
Yeah. So. And so this is Usman Azam on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter handles down here. This is Qasim Azam.
And this was GT Weekly.
We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Bye. Boom. This was like 8 minutes, probably.
12.
The heck?